Greetings. My name is Malik Jabbar, author of the Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth and other books on the subject of astrotheology. Our subject today is astrotheology in the Bible, with special focus on the precession of the equinoxes. In this video, we shall explain the dynamic link between precession, the 7 circumpolar constellations, and the 12 zodiacal signs of the ecliptic. We shall unveil some examples of the astronomical symbolism as it relates to Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So let us begin. Okay, we are looking at a cosmic sky map of the universe. My objective is to explain the major components of precession and how precession engenders the astrological ages. This information will be of tremendous help for your understanding of astrotheological symbolism. Now, as we proceed, I will use the sky map before us to help in the explanation of various important astrotheological concepts. At this point, I need to make some adjustments to our sky map, plus provide you with a few basic explanations of what we're looking at here and what our immediate objective is. Now let's move our universe on its side here. And I'm going to remove our grid so that we can see the constellations a little clearer. Now, our primary area of concern with us will be this circle here. This is a circle of perpetual apparition, is what the astronomers call it. And right in the center here is the NCP, the North Celestial Pole. That's the pole of our Earth extending into the infinite heavens. This circle of perpetual apparition is the area of the stars which never set. These stars never fall below the horizon. They're always seen. Stars and constellations within this circle here. And to the ancient star worshippers years ago, this area, and we will explain the details later, they gave it such appellations as the House of God, the Eden, the Mount of the North, the Holy Place. This was an area of special reverence to the ancient stargazers, and plays a very important role in astrotheological symbolism. Now I'm going to expand our view so that we can see more details, and I can give some more explanations of some particulars that would be important in our explanations as we move forward. Now, there are 2 phases to the astrotheological symbolism in regards to the astrological ages. I should say there are 2 phases. One phase regards these stars here in the circle of perpetual apparition. And let me see if I can make this a little larger. The constellations here, I'm going to take you through an animation right here shortly. And you will see that the constellations in this area, they change. Some constellations over the course of the ages, they move out of this area into the outlying area, and other constellations which are in the outlying area come into this area. And all this is written into the symbolism. The other phase is the more common phase that is more widely known, concerns the zodiac. The zodiac extends along this circle here. This circle is the ecliptic, and it's divided into 12 sections. Each section is defined by a zodiac sign. And the sign which determines which age we are in is this sign right here. This is the point of the vernal equinox. It's defined by the intersection of the celestial equator, which is this blue circle here, and the ecliptic, as I said, which is this gold circle. The vernal equinox, it defines the astrological age. Whichever sun sign is at this point of the vernal equinox, at the beginning of the zodiacal year, which is March 21, that is the sign that defines which astrological age that we are in. Now, I have this set here at 8,766 BC. And let me put the time up here. That was the age of Cancer. And we see that Hercules is at the center of the polar hub during that time. So in terms of the master constellation in the circumpolar symbolism, during the age of Cancer, it was Hercules. I'm going to explain this relationship as we go further on. Okay, we can see here the sign of Cancer. Now, 8,766 BC, that is when the age of Cancer started. And we see that the intersection here of the vernal, of the celestial equator and ecliptic, that's indicating the beginning of the 2,160-year reign for the age of Cancer. And this position actually marks the 30th degree of Cancer. When an age starts, it starts with the intersection moving westward. In other words, at the 30th degree of the sign, and it goes through the 30th degree all the way to the first degree when it transferred to the next degree, which in this case, of course, would be Gemini. And this period of time covers 2,160 years. And that's the second phase. This, as I said, this ecliptic, it defines the second phase of the astrological ages. The first phase is actually the movement, excuse me, let me move this out. the movement of the constellations in and out of this area here. And I'm going to give a little more explanation. Now I want to explain exactly what precession is by showing the line of precession. If I can bring that up right quick. Okay, right here, this circle here marks the line of precession. Now what precession is actually is the NCP, the North Celestial Pole. The astronomers teach us that it, as the Earth spins, it spins with a very slow, imperceptible wobble that actually causes the orientation of our celestial pole to gradually change in a regular cycle that takes 25,920 years to complete itself. In other words, this circle here, it is really defining the pathway of our Earth's celestial axis through the sky over 25,920 years. The result of this is that the orientation of the constellations in regards to the Earth is constantly changing by 1 degree every 72 years. This is why astronomers, they actually update their star charts yearly because the sky is changing by 1/72 of a degree each year. So they're changing their star charts really to keep abreast of where the stars are actually located. And that is caused by this change in the orientation of where our celestial pole is pointing out into the infinite heavens. But now, even though that change is taking place so that our pole is actually moving through the heavens, for us here on Earth, the pole, of course, is always within the circle. We can't see from Earth, from a vantage point of Earth, that is actually moving through the sky. It always is centered for us in between the circle of perpetual apparition. But what we see on Earth is that the orientation of the constellations and stars change because of this movement. We don't actually see the movement, but we see the effect of the movement. And the effect of the movement is that the orientation of the stars and constellation in relationship to the Earth, they change. And that's why we say this area here is actually the first phase or the controlling phase of precession. Most people recognize precession as the transition of the zodiac signs along through the vernal equinox, which is correct, but that's really the second phase, which is caused by what goes on here in the circle of apparition with the movement of the celestial poles through the heavens. So that's an important technical point, and clarity will come to this as we go along. Now let me remove this precession line out of our way so we can get into some other definitions. Now, as I mentioned, much of the Bible symbolism concerns constellations and stars moving in and out of this circle of perpetual apparition. So I want to show you the 7 constellations that reflect this symbolism. Now, first there's Hercules. Hercules is in the center of the circle now. Then there's Draconis. It's one of the 7 lights of heaven, so to speak. And then there's Ursa Minor. It's on the outskirts right now, or not at the time that this is set, 8,766 BCE. And then there's Cepheus. And where there's Cepheus right here. Then there's Cygnus right here. Then there's Lyra right here. And then the most prominent of all, Ursa Major. Those are the 7 constellations that carry the symbolism of the circle of heaven, of Eden, the holy place, the house of God, in the stellar phase of the symbolism. Indications are that the stellar phase was the first phase of the symbolism that the ancients penned. And there are 3 major phases that run in parallel, and that's the stellar symbolism, which cycles at 25,920 years. Then there's the annual solar symbolism that cycles at 1 year. And then there's the daily symbolism that cycles at 24 hours. All of 3 of these symbolisms are in Bible literature. And they run in parallel or near parallel. But the first one that the ancients started with, according to our best evidence, was the stellar. This was their first symbolism that they mastered. And so now we are in the era of Cancer, as I mentioned earlier, but the Bible actually covers the era of Gemini, Taurus, Aries, and Pisces. But I've started this in Aries. Excuse me, I've started this in Cancer because the first book of the Bible, Genesis, which of course reflects Gemini symbolism to a great extent, it reflects back on the era of Cancer, in which the master constellation of the circumpolar area, or Eden, or heaven, was Hercules. And that's why I've started our animation, or we'll start our animation in Hercules, because I wanted you to see the reflection of that symbolism. Because the first major catastrophe that is reported in Genesis of the Bible, it reflects back on Cancer, even though it's the Gemini symbolism. Because the first catastrophe is the fall of man. Man being exiled from Eden, from heaven. And in the stellar phase of the symbolism, that man is Hercules. Hercules in Cancer is right in the hub, the center of the hub. And the first thing that takes place under Gemini is the expelling of Hercules, the casting out of Hercules, or as the Bible says, the casting out of the man out of paradise into the wilderness. This area outside of the circle is the wilderness in the stellar phase of the symbolism. Now what I'm going to do here is change this to the our date to the beginning of Gemini, so that we can progressively view the changes that take place within this circumpolar area. So bear with me as we work with this. And the era of Gemini started in 6,606. All of these dates and so forth, of course, are in my books. All of these information on the eras and all of this. I'm giving you information to help you in the study of the books. Now you'll notice here, when we go up to the era of Gemini, 2,160 years, we see the encroachment of Draco toward the center of heaven, toward the center of Eden. And you see the man, Hercules, being pushed toward exile from this region. And if I can come forth. Now you notice I showed you before Cancer how it was up higher, but when we moved, changed the date, we see how the vernal equinox, the position of that vernal equinox, is now at about the 30th degree of Gemini, and it's moving toward Gemini. In other words, as I said before, as the zodiac ages transition, they transition from the 30th to the 1st degree of the sign. So we see, concurrent with the movement that I just showed you of Draco entering into the circumpolar area, we see in tandem with that, we see this movement along the ecliptic with the zodiac. We see now that the vernal equinox is has moved toward Gemini, and during the course of the year, of course, all of the zodiac signs pass through the vernal equinox, and they pass through all the signs. But as I said, we tell the age, we identify the age by the sign that is in contact with the vernal equinox on March 21. That's how, March 21, and for the 30 days or so after that, that's how we identify the age that we're living in. But okay, we'll move this again here. This is the age of Gemini. We want to move to the age of Taurus. And Taurus commenced in 4446 BC. Take this out so we can see it a little better. Now notice, after another 2,160 years, how Draco is destined to be the new governor, of the circumpolar area, and we see that Hercules is virtually completely pushed out now, cast out, as the Bible would say, and we see that Draco is at the point and really has taken over the center of Eden, has taken over the heavenly throne. Now the closest that Draco will get this right here, the third star from the end of the tail is Thuban, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah, Thuban. Thuban will be the main star, the third star in the tail of the dragon. That will be the star that signifies Draco's closest approach to the North Celestial Pole. There's no star that I'm aware of that makes it exactly right on the pole. I think Ursa Minor comes pretty close to it, maybe closer than any other. But the point of a constellation controlling or having a throne is that that constellation takes over the center of the holy place, Eden, the Mount. These are all terms that the ancients used to use, and that you find in the Bible also. That's why I keep mentioning them. And okay, let me show you. I don't think I showed you about the zodiac, but here you can see how concurrently the zodiac is changing in tandem with the changing of the circumpolar area. You see where Gemini has come past now, and how the vernal equinox is in the era of Taurus. There's Taurus right there, the 30th degree of Taurus, and going on. So you see, I want you to see how these work in tandem in terms of the astrological ages. So we want to go to Aries now. And Aries, 2286 BC, my memory is correct, which I'm sure it is. Okay, 2286 BC, we're in the era of Aries, and let me move out. We see here, this is about the closest that the main star, I don't know if this is the Alpha star or not. Well, no, it's not the Alpha of Draco. It's one of those stars, and here's the Alpha. But anyway, of the star that is the pole star, Thuban. That's the pole star of Draco. And I think this is about the closest it would come. You see, Hercules. You see Hercules over here. He's completely out of it now. The man has been completely cast out of paradise. That's the symbolism. These ancient star worshippers, they didn't use scientific language. They used symbolic language, casting out, exile, and so forth. It's all symbolism. And if I can close in here, we see the vernal equinox. We see how it's past Taurus now. And I don't know if I can bring it down a little bit. So we see these two move in tandem. And now we're getting to another vivid part of the symbolism. And let's go to the era of Pisces, 126 BC. Era of Pisces. Now, let me make it a little larger here. We see now the dragon is being attacked by Ursa Minor. That's a very prominent part of the symbolism. Ursa Minor attacking the dragon, and the dragon is being pushed out of paradise. And here we see the she-bear, which is the mother of Ursa Minor. Now, I want to mention right quick at this point, in my books you may have noticed that I refer often to the 6 stars of the circumpolar area, the 6 constellations, I should say. And sometimes I refer to 6 plus 1. What is meant by that, Ursa Major actually never approaches the pole. The other 6 constellations do. But they included Ursa Major in the symbolism because Ursa Major is so prominent. And Ursa Major has this association with Ursa Minor as the son of Ursa Minor within the symbolism. So that's why as you read the books, you come across where I refer to 6 constellations sometimes instead of 7, or I use 6 plus 1. That's why I term it like that, is because actually 6 constellations change sovereignty in terms of the center of the circumpolar area. But Ursa Major is included because of its prominence and because of its position within the symbolism. At this point, I want to unveil to you a manifestation of this stellar symbolism as practiced in present-day religion. I have already mentioned to you that when the monotheists became the dominant religious force by overcoming the star worshippers, they did not abolish the customs and dogmas of the Sabian types. Rather, they incorporated the customs and dogmas into monotheism in clandestine form. They converted the mythology into an artificial version of history and renamed the characters of the mythology with names suitable to their newly fashioned religions. Now, to exemplify my point, let me make a few adjustments here to our sky map. I want to start a little rotation here. I brought land into the picture because I want you to have a good idea of what we mean by the circumpolar area, the Eden area, the holy area that's always visible. Now I've started a rotation and I've included a view from Earth with the land present. So you can see how this area here, the circumpolar area, how when the ancients looked upon it, it became special to them because it's always visible. Now you notice the outlying stars and constellations, the wilderness, so to speak. These constellations, they birth and they die in the ancient symbolic language. They come and they go, but these stars here, these constellations here, are ever living. They never disappear. And that's why this section of the sky became holy to them. Because these stars, these constellations were ever living. This was a haven. Any constellations within this domain never disappeared. But the stars from outside of that circumpolar area, as shown in this animation, they go below the horizon. And eventually they come up above, back up above the horizon. Now this is a daily cycle here that we're doing. But this same thing happens annually. This same phenomena takes place. And but we'll get into the details of that later. It's in the books. Because you have to know a little bit about the structure of the sky to understand how this can happen annually as well as daily. But it happens annually as well as daily. Annually, our stars, they change by 1 degree every day. We have springtime stars and summertime stars and wintertime stars. We don't see the stars all year because stars, like in this animation, they disappear on an annual basis, just as they do on a daily basis. And this center of the universe, this is this became the ancient holy place to the ancient star worshippers, which preceded monotheism. And as I said before, when the monotheists took over and became the dominant religious force, they did not abandon or destroy the dogma of the star worshippers. They incorporated it into monotheism. And that's why with astrotheology, those of us who know the codes, we're able to bring it out and prove this to be a fact. Now, in further proof of of how the monotheists adopted the rituals of the star worshippers into their religion, I'm going to give you a very vivid example that can be seen within a present-day ritual among the Muslims. I want to introduce you to a ritual of the Muslims and explain to you the astrotheological origin of this ritual. It is called the ceremony of tawaf, that is performed when Muslims visit the Kaaba in Mecca for their pilgrimage. This same ritual existed among the Arabs before the advent of the Islam religion. After the Arabs became Muslim, they yet continued the ritual, and of course they now have an Islamic explanation for the ritual. I shall presently give you the original esoteric meaning of the ritual as practiced by the Sabian types before the coming of the Prophet. Before the Muslims took over Mecca and the Kaaba from the pagan Sabians or star worshippers, the building, the Kaaba, contained the idols of 360 pagan gods. The pagans, or the Sabians, or the Sabian type, we can't be for sure who these pre-Muslim Arabs were in terms of the name of their religion. But they made regular pilgrimage to the Kaaba, just as the Muslims today do. The ritual ceremony required that they circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times in a counterclockwise direction, and that they display divine reverence to the black stone fixed in an external corner of the building. The name of for the destination or direction of the Kaaba is Al-Qibla. Now, with this information of the Tawaf pilgrimage ceremony in our minds, I want to unveil the symbolic origin of this ritual. Again, the religion or spiritual name of the Kaaba is Al-Qibla. The Kaaba before the time of the Prophet was packed with 360 pagan gods. The faithful are instructed to circumambulate the Kaaba at pilgrimage in a counterclockwise direction, and they must do this 7 times. And they are instructed to show adoration to the black stone. Now, I want you to notice, as we look at this animation, that the sky is circling in a counterclockwise direction. This is due to the Earth, of course, spinning eastward, spinning clockwise. This causes the sky to spin counterclockwise. And it's spinning counterclockwise around this ancient holy place, as the ancient star worshippers saw it. Now, the ancient star worshippers, before the Muslims, they circumambulated the Kaaba the Kaaba, excuse me, 7 times. The circling of the Kaaba 7 times refers to the 7 constellations that I have explained to you of the circumpolar area. That's the significance of circling the Kaaba 7 times. The Kaaba contained at that time 360 pagan idols. Those of you who have read my books, you understand that this 360 is the sacred year. The ancient used the sacred year of 360 days, not 365 and a quarter days. They used 360 days. They observed 365 and a quarter days in order to keep their calendars in sync. But they only counted 360 days, and those are referred to in religious language as sacred days. Going back years prior to the time of the prophet, and really concurrent with that time also, the Arabs referred to the North Star as Al-Qibla, the same name that they used to refer to the direction of the Kaaba. The same name, Al-Qibla. This is the ancient term that they maintain to this day, I believe. And in terms of the black stone, the faithful, they are directed to show reverence to the black stone by pointing to it or touching it or kissing it. The black stone, as I said before, it is the exact center of the universe. It represents the essence of divinity, the essence of God, the center. This is the meaning of the symbolism of this ceremony, of the tawaf. The ancient Arabs, and even today, not only refer to the Kaaba as Al-Qibla, they call the North Star Al-Qibla. The 360 idols symbolize the 360 days of the sacred calendar year as used by the ancients. I have explained this in my books. They circle the Kaaba in a counterclockwise direction, just as our sky circles the celestial house of God, or Eden, in a counterclockwise direction. They make 7 circuits of the Kaaba as representing the 7 constellations of the circumpolar area. They show adoration to the black stone as the symbol of the divine essence, the center of the cosmos, around which the whole universe revolves in obeisance and adoration as viewed by the ancient star worshippers in their symbolism. So there you have it. I think that this truth is very vivid and beyond rational dispute. So as we close this out, I just want to repeat, astrotheology is the foundation of all major religions, ancient and modern. Within astrotheology, we bring the utmost clarity to the various rituals of the Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims. Esoteric star mythology is locked within the cultural fabric of these religions. And this has been so from their beginnings to this day. Astrotheology is a very ancient and universal esoteric religious language. Astrotheology existed long before our modern religions developed their dogmas. And I want to continue to emphasize that astrotheology is a esoteric knowledge, not a exoteric knowledge. In other words, it's a secret knowledge, not a public knowledge. We're making secret knowledge. We're bringing it out, but we're really operating within limits. We're not saying everything we could say, and because when exoteric knowledge becomes too public, it becomes corrupted, and but there's just no doubt that astrotheology is the hidden matrix of all major religions, ancient and modern. There's just no doubt about it. As I have mentioned, I have written 7 books on the subject of astrotheology, those being the Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth in 4 volumes, The Biggest Lie Ever Told, 4th edition, Lifting the Gnostic Veil, and The Secret Origins of Judaism. All of these books are focused on the subject of astrotheological symbolism. You can go to my site, thechristmyth.com, to read excerpts from these books. A link to my site is listed below. You can also purchase the books from my site at a terrific discount. Also, push the subscribe button and you will be notified whenever I post new videos to my channel. So I thank you, and I appreciate your time.